talking about. It is Catnip on the Spy side as Plane Twin. Sorry about the delay. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Keeping on AI control till we bump into conversation, that's something you see a lot more on Balcony, I think, than on other venues. On other venues, experienced players will often just take control immediately looking for opportunities, but on Balcony there's a few and far between. The biggest opportunity is going to be whether or not you can get in with your ST very close, and Catnip gets that anyways.
Yeah, and that first little entry into combo is always going to be noticed. So you really want the AI to do that for you if you can. And luckily, they take us right next to our seduction target, and we hit that first 51%. And I cannot think of a better feeling than starting out with 51% on Balcony.
Yeah, Catnip actually has a pretty low green rate relative to the community overall, I think. So having that 51% flirt is huge, and if we can get 2 more... Oh, it's another green test, but we're too far away this time. And now we've been seen talking 3 times. Our contact was a white test, and it also did knock out Irish because she was taking a drink from Toby at the time. But actually, we're doing an extra talk here, which I do quite like.
Yeah, and it's not an extra talk with anybody new entering. Taft enters right after we talk, so that isn't even a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And Irish, of course, is leaving for us. Out to somewhere else. Unfortunately, picking up a briefcase. Not... Ooh, safety off onto Salmon, though. Safety top, and the shot is taken. And that is Balcony. Casting Balcony is a trip, because sometimes the game just ends, and, you know, it's a reasonable shot every time, because someone's been talking a lot, and they could, I suppose, be done.
Yeah, somebody that just talks at just the right timings for feels like a spy. Just sometimes gets shot.
Yeah, and of course, for anyone unaware, double agent cannot be seen with a sniper on Balcony. So, it may look silly to shoot a double agent, or a suspected double agent, but on Balcony it is completely normal. Now we have Wobble coming into the second game on orange dress, trying to sweep Balcony to start off the stat strong. Actually, no. Catnip's trying to sweep Balcony with the sniper win. You ready?
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Early green test, but it is a perfect contact. Like, you know, with these contacts and with Balcony, the contact being early doesn't really mean much, except for the fact, except if not everyone's in. If it's an early contact and not everyone's in, then you've got some things to think about, like whether or not someone has gotten a bug by you in the chaos, and they're just trying to rush it down before you're done. But typically, spies are just going to wait until everyone's in conversation, then take the contact, and sometimes that happens quite early.
Yeah, and getting an early green test BB on Balcony just makes you not have suspicion, but really puts the sniper on edge, counting those flirts for people finishing ahead of what the sniper would want to be looking for.
Yeah, it does. Interestingly, I think counterintuitively a little bit, it takes the sting out of some of the early talks from AIs, because you know that unless they have green to contact while flirting, that a talk cannot actually be a flirt.
Yes.
So you're sort of taking away a lot of flirt progress from potential AIs here, which can be an issue, but we do have 93% on the flirt now. Contact done. 35 seconds left on the clock, and Smallman is shot anyways.
Yeah.
No waiting on that one.
Yeah, he was talking during the BB, kind of as soon as everybody entered the conversation, he started his talking, and the BB came off at just the right time in his talk, so I think probably just kept a lot of heat that whole game.
Yeah, not too surprising. It is Smallman on Balcony with a bunch of tall characters, after all. Balcony is one of those venues where, you know, quite frequently a lot of players like to choose their entire cast. So
Yeah, that you're not giving up a ton by doing that, unless you have specific tendencies within that little group that you choose.
Exactly. And now the next venue will be Gallery. 4 of 8. Bigger venue where Florida is much more difficult to come by. Pacing can be an issue, especially for newer players, so we'll see if Wobble can maybe handle that. Although Wobble did quite well in the group stage, of course, got into the bracket stage, very important. We'll see but it's actually catnip first on the spy side. So pacing is going to be her area right now in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, both of these players actually went 2-1 in the group stages. Catnip finishing first on tiebreakers and Wobble finishing second on tiebreakers.
Yes, the difference that tiebreakers make. And of course, it means they run into each other in the bracket stage. Catnip with the higher seed. Not that seeding actually matters, except for who you play.
Yeah, a lot of early statue visitors that all get a highlight except for Sari. Now she gets one. But for the sniper, that's a lot of early people to just have in your attention. Yeah, they're all going to get low lit.
Lots and lots. Oh, wow. Here comes a contact here, right? There's going to be 4 or 5 lowlights at least. And that's not counting the ones that could be taken from the outside. Yeah, 5 lowlights here. A lot of those early statue visitors. I was about to comment on how if you're highlighting for statues on gallery especially, it can be really, really brutal to just have a mess of highlights in the party, especially when a lot of them might not ever complete anyways. And it's very, very difficult to keep up with that sometimes. But
yeah, I agree.
Sort of alleviating that pressure on Wobble. But we'll see how the game progresses here. 34% on the flirt now. Plenty of time left on the clock. But we have seen games where we just let the time start slipping away, especially if we're doing things like timer flirting.
Yeah, on gallery, the biggest risk is that you're taking that timer flirt and they leave right before your cooldown goes, which just happened.
Yeah, that's really not what you want to see as catnip. You've wasted another 30 seconds here standing next to your SD, and you're still not going to get anything. And now we're stepping into statues, which is an interesting idea, especially when, if you know your opponent does these statue highlights. I think on gallery in particular, statues are probably the weakest of any venue. Just because it's a 4 of 8, so statues aren't enough to complete, right? It's not like it's a terrace, where even though you do have to visit 2 sets of different statues, it is going to be in danger of completion. But you have to go to 2 sets of different statues, then you have to do another mission, another 3 missions really, but flirt and contact are pretty typically the other 2. So statues are not really the best play on gallery. I mean, you have to throw them in sometimes, of course, and they can be situationally quite good. We do hit a green test on this flirt here, 85%. So
yeah, we got kind of lucky that Twin didn't just take his book out and run, but I actually kind of like that statue visit because it breaks up that flirt instead of trying to chase Twin when you don't know where he's going to land and how long he's going to land there on gallery. So we get that flirt at the bookcase after that inspect, and then we step in here to this back conversation. We already have banana bread, so not sure what we're looking for, and in fact we're just going to leave after being in it for just a short amount of time.
Yeah, I think we're running up against the clock a little bit here because we need to get this flirt, then we'll want to go back to maybe transfer as one of our missions. And then we'd have to go back for another statue visit. It's just a lot to be doing in 30 seconds, especially if the SC is going to keep landing at places where they might leave us. We can only... Oh, we're going to get to the pad, but I don't know if it's going to take... No, the seduction gets canceled. 24 seconds left on the clock. I think Cat needs to follow them outside and time ad, but no, we're walking inside. We're trying to return this book to the green bookshelf, but there is just no mission progress. Safety off onto Sari, but it's off onto us instead. The shot coming off, Wobble noticing the transfer, and it didn't even matter in the end that we were so bereft of missions. Wobble's just on it.
Yep, hey, just tracking books really well. Yeah, chasing your seduction target on gallery is a really, really tough thing to do, just because there's so many paths that they're going to leave quickly. So you really have to be on their heels if you're actually going to make those flirts land.
Yeah, exactly. I think that trying to find that timeout outside gives you a little bit of a better chance of winning. Obviously, you're still in a bad spot. There aren't many timeout spots on gallery. It's just the outside, so there's a lot of lowlights to be had there once the sniper notices. And, of course, you're already a suspect. You're going to have to get away with that transfer and then a statue visit. It's just not likely to work. but it's higher likelihood than just timing out, which we were on track to do.
Yeah, I think that there was a path there. I mean, you could slam that book, get a purloin and a bug, but that's not a very high value play compared to trying to just maybe get more time.
Yeah, for sure. We're going on to this next one here, with Wobble on the spy side playing as Hare, or Oprah, however you like to call her. Got a few names in the community. Red Dress is one. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I usually go with Hare.
That's fair enough. Bouncing around here. Maybe there was a chance at an early bug, but the ambassador bounced off of us really quickly, so if we had tried it, it would have come off kind of badly.
Yeah, and we were trying to follow our seduction target into that conversation, trying to predict where they would go. Instead, we take their spot, they kind of just turn around and go back to the painting pad that we would have been at before.
Ambassador leaving a fingerprint on the briefcase on the ground here. Was offered a drink but didn't take that, so no opportunities there. Wobble playing it pretty low-key here, not going for any rush flirts at all. Highlights are coming off onto early statue visitors.
Yeah, and the ambassador is really safe outside. The only person even remotely dangerous is Seek. And Wobble was instead zoomed down here on Toby and the ambassador in this bottom left-hand corner. So any number of things could have gone in the back of the venue, but nothing ends up happening back there.
Yeah, I think we got a highlight briefly there, but it might have been a misclick as we are brought back down pretty much immediately. 51% now on the flirt as we get an early green test. Well, early, quote-unquote. It's been, 45 seconds into the game so far. White test on the microphone, nice. And white test gets a shot. Catnip sees it.
Gets seen right away. That arm in the wall is not as subtle as you might think. It kind of sticks out there against that gray background.
I'm actually a little impressed, though, given the amount of visual noise that was happening at the moment, and there's this little bar, this little, I don't know what to call it, the window, right? The window frame.
That's the frame,
the frame of the window. Given that, small amount of cover and the amount of people that were just walking around, multiple of them highlight, lots of things to be watching at that one time, and Catnip still picks out the information that is critical here. It takes the shot onto Wobble, and we're going to keep it even 2-2.
Yeah, and Catnip also an old school player that sees somebody all the way on the right side of that bookcase pad on gallery and might just think, oh, that's the spy. Because that used to not really be a thing.
Catnip now playing on Ballroom. This is the ABC's Ballroom, so it is going to be technically Wobble's pick, but it doesn't really matter because there's Ballroom in both sets. It's great.
Oh yeah, this is a double venue in this particular set. That's pretty interesting. You don't get a lot of double venues in Winter Cup.
No, you don't. There are 16 venues in the venue pools, but there are only 13 actual venues in the game. We have two differing setups, so high rise and pub have their two different setups. So that does mean we needed one duplicate, which was going to be Ballroom.
You didn't want to do something like Crowded Balcony?
Crowded Balcony, dear God. No thank you. Smallman from Catnip on Ballroom in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yep, and we get that first 51% flirt, just like Catnip has done on Balcony, and getting that early flirt out of the way, especially on Ballroom, can be super helpful when you don't know where everybody's going to go with statues, briefcases, books, just a lot of things for people to be walking around and doing.
Yeah, for sure. Early Purloin here from Catnip, lots of green tests.
Ooh.
Taken by the Ambassador, which isn't really the best, but it's so early in this game. The one downside of this is that we're actually playing Smallman. For all that Smallman is good at, purloining on Trey is not really one of them because Toby has to kneel down to offer to us. Another green test from Catnip, though, and this could be a rush. We're actually, I think, getting offered again. It's already gone, but we're seen taking...
I love it.
Yes, the low light comes off, and it's a green test fingerprint. Catnip bucking the trend. Because remember, Catnip's AT rate is not that high typically, but this is a four green game so far from Catnip, and it's gotten us a low light and massive mission progress in the first minute and a half of this game, and I don't see how Catnip could lose going forward. We just need to pick up this briefcase here and then find a contact anywhere on the venue, and it's over.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a good contact. Just has to be real.
Yeah, Double H is not currently in conversation. I think Catnip's waiting for the ambassador to move a little bit further away. It's currently an illegal briefcase. Of course, it wouldn't matter, given that we're a low light. Of course, Catnip can't know this. I mean, maybe has an idea because of the circumstances of that drink take, but is not certain and still wants to play with some level of subtlety here. Double Agent lining right up for us, joins our conversation, and this game is looking to go in Catnip's way really quickly.
Yep, you just got to take this banana bread. I know it looks terrible from Catnip's perspective, and she doesn't know she's low lit, but you got away with a purloin on the first minute of the game. You've got a green drink print. You're not getting shot this game. You have to just take this. And instead, they leave the conversation with the Double Agent.
Going for the briefcase, but we're being beaten to it, and the Double Agent leaves the conversation. Disaster striking for Catnip. It's not over yet. 50 seconds left on the clock. Double Agent not in conversation, though, as the other conversations all fill up. The briefcase is now a difficult. The ambassador has landed in a conversation. That's a problem.
Yep, and we're going to get that briefcase, and we're not going to hit the action test.
Can we make it 5 greens? No, we can't.
Oh, and that just makes it so much more difficult. We do have the Double Agent in a conversation, so we can at least get that. But then we're going to have to find a bug if we're going to want to finish.
Well, Double Agent is putting down another briefcase right now, so we could rush that at the end of the game, and of course we are a low light. It really depends on what you think is the better play. Are you going for this obvious, quote-unquote obvious briefcase rush, or are we going for a bug? Catnip looking at the ambassador, maybe going for a bug here, but we have a drink in hand. We can't do this very easily. We want to bounce off the ambassador. 3 seconds left. We don't have time.
No.
Catnip's going to time out.
And it was such a perfect bug, too. It was blocked by the pillar and Taft, and we were just invisible, and it just doesn't take.
Oh my god. I think you have to go for this fingerprint here. When you see the ambassador here at this window like this, it's just so hard to find the angle for a bug when you still have a drink in your left hand. If we didn't have a drink, that bug is so much easier to execute. But Catnip, taking a game that was basically already won by a minute and a half in, and cannot convert it. So unfortunate. A little bit of bad luck, but I think we just needed to be a little bit more aggressive with our decision making, and that would have, smoothed over that luck issue. And Wobble breathing a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I mean, to Catnip's credit on how that party actually broke down, the ambassador only touched 3 things the entire game. And one of them he set down at 11 seconds. So pretty brutal from that perspective on trying to get fingerprints done, but you just have to beat an AI to that first briefcase, I think.
Yeah, even though it's, technically illegal, it's definitely on the edge of being legal unless Wobble is actively noticing that other AIs are ignoring it, which can be a tell. If some people are ignoring it and others are not, one of them is wrong.
Right.
So it would be interesting to see how Wobble would have responded to that if they were on top of that, but just needed a little bit more aggressiveness on that. The Double Agent, the contact didn't end up being too much of an issue, but the time did.
Yeah, and I wonder how I would have felt from that initial perspective of getting that green purloin and the ambassador takes it. It's kind of a double-edged sword there. You're like, oh, okay, well, they know it's a green test if they see this. But they also might not be watching because it's the ambassador taking. And it looked like that was the case. It just got ignored for a little bit, and then it wasn't seen until we were already being offered again.
Yeah, indeed. So we're going to have to go on to the next one with Wobble in the driver's seat here, playing Spy on Ballroom, trying to break serve. maybe getting a little bit of luck from how that unfolded from Catnip Spy side. We'll see if they can do it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and you don't usually see timeouts on Ballroom when you have a Purloin and a 2-flirt.
Yeah, that is just so unusual to have that happen. And Wobble, trying to start off in the same way with a 51% on the flirt. Very nice start. Gives us a lot of options, pacing going forward.
Also a nice start that the other twin just got highlight, and I don't know if Catnip is the type to highlight both twins at any point during a game.
Yeah, that is something that people will do. Either only keep one twin highlight at any given point, or just straight up highlight a twin at the beginning of a game to demarcate them a little bit here, so there's no confusion. If it's the latter, then Wobble's gotten a little bit lucky because picking twins can be kind of risky into those players where you're gonna just maybe cop a highlight for no reason. Well, not no reason, but ooh, that bug.
Wow.
Almost lands, but Twin's just a little bit too speedy for it. Catnip doesn't seem to have noticed. And Catnip does have a bit of a blind spot on hardtail sometimes. It is the cost that you pay when you've got this intuition, this very, very strong. I'm gonna flirt track. I'm gonna ooh, never mind.
That bug was seen.
I take it back. I take it back. There was no outward response to that bug, but Catnip most definitely saw it.
Yeah, and I was gonna be singing Wobble's praise on that bug because it seemed like a very good, like kind of a low risk bug to take. He starts that bug so late that it's probably not gonna take, but he's forced to start it late because if you start it early, you're gonna be having that right hand sticking out, and that's just never gonna work.
Yeah, for sure. That is a difficulty with some of those out of conversation bugs. You have to start them late enough that you're not gonna get a waving at the sniper situations, but at the same time you need to make sure it lands, and it didn't land in this case. Catnip, seemingly have caught the bug. It really fooled me because there was no reaction out of that immediately. So
yes, and she had that perfect alleyway of being able to see the tray, being able to see who's taking, who's rejecting, and being able to see twin with the ambassador right there. She just kind of had the perfect angle to see that, even though it was a tough bug to see.
Yeah, and now we have high rise, and it's a different high rise than you might have seen before. It's high rise 4 of 8.
I love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because 1 second. Catnip won that game. There we go. OP scoreboard. Catnip now on the spy side. We haven't seen 4 of 8 high rise in competitive for quite a while. It'll be very interesting to see how it goes. I think it's been since season 3 that we've seen it. Like season 3 was the last time we got seen in competitive for SCL.
Yeah, maybe. I know that season 4 definitely had 4 of 7 pub, but I'm not sure what it was doing with high rise at the time.
I'm pretty certain it was 3 of 5 high rise.
Yeah. But it's a pretty interesting venue in that it's super small. I think it's almost as small as Tayan, if not smaller. But it's just so much harder to get away with.
I think it's a little bit bigger than Tayan, just a little bit.
Sure. It's just so much harder to get away with things on high rise than it is on Tayan.
That also means that there's going to have that mission density, right? You can get a lot of things done at once.
Right.
It's that trade-off. So we'll see how Catnip handles the new environment in 3, 2, 1, playing it. What shouldn't be underestimated is maybe sometimes people are going to start playing this as if it's 3 of 5 high rise, not memorize statues or forget to for a while, and it's going to be a little bit silly. I think sometimes. Obviously, I don't think we're going to be able to see that play out unless someone goes for a really early swap. But
so
that's just a mental adjustment.
Disney taking that early window visit in between 2 suspected double agents. That's like almost worthy of a low light that early in the game.
Oh man, that's actually really funny, yeah. Because it's one double agent that you would know, the other one you wouldn't know, but it's definitely not your ST.
So you wouldn't want to be caught next to them.
Exactly. Wobble not taking any of those kind of perspective low lights though, but I like the cut of your jib manatters and how you think. Pretty
I will
slow
say though
start.
that on 4 of 8 high rise, you don't have to take that sort of perspective low lights, and we're gonna get a red test purloin.
But
Luckily, it's behind the screen.
yeah, it's behind the screen. It's pretty much off screen. Here comes finally being seen. The question is, do we lowlight the taker as we've
Not
seen the
this
list
time.
go? Yeah, Wobble is like, I've learned my lesson here, and Twin stays a highlight.
Yeah, we do still have that drink that we just took. I think we could probably get away with gulping it or sipping it. But yeah, Twin does not get the low light for being offered while it's already gone this time.
Even though it would help Wobble out. So the adjustment, the paranoia, maybe giving Catnip a little bit of extra chances in this game, maybe to have Twin die at some point later on. But that's Purloin done, and we're sort of frozen in this conversation. I say frozen in this conversation, but we have a flirt to do. We have a contact, a double agent that just joined us. So not looking too bad. The ambassador's around, so maybe there's some kind of bug possibilities. There's a lot to do.
Yeah, this is a pretty nice back conversation for high rise. Ambassador keeps entering it and leaving it. Double agent has joined next to us, and our seduction target stuck around for a time of flirt.
Shot comes off onto Twin.
Wow. So it's a good adjustment, I think, to not low light the Twin this time. It takes humility, right, to say, okay, I wasn't paying attention to the purloin. I'm not going to get burned on the exact same thing I just did.
Right, exactly. But then, of course, it burns you this time as you end up shooting the one you might have otherwise low lit.
Yeah, and I think there hadn't been a banana bread, right?
No, there had not been.
So he just kind of was nearby the Amba in that conversation, but it was being guarded pretty well, and then possibly had a drink print in that briefcase.
Yeah,
So
something like
it's
that.
kind of an iffy shot, but it's still maybe Wobble's top suspect from that purloin, thinking that the same thing happened to them as last game.
For sure. And now we have Wobble on the spy side trying to keep it even. Catnip actually is ahead right now. It's been a wild set. It's been very back and forth, it feels like, even though every venue has been split so far.
Yeah.
It feels just like we're bouncing back and forth between who's, quote unquote ahead, but no one's broken serve quite yet. Catnip's trying to do it here. We have Wobble on the spy side as Alice in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, it's always a weird set when
Ooh,
you have
early
something
bug, but it doesn't take.
doesn't take.
Bugs again! Bugs again says if one does not work, try again. And I don't think it was caught this time. But then again, we did see last time where Catnip had that very muted response to the initial bug, but that ended up shooting Wobble later. So we'll have to see if this is actually clean or if Catnip is onto it.
Yeah, and from what we saw in that ballroom game, it just felt like Catnip had a lot of discipline, just not shooting until, all right, yeah, I can shoot now. Like, it's reasonable to shoot now.
Yeah,
But
early
I
contact.
think it might have been clean this time.
Early contact, and it's actually a quite good one. 24% now on the flirt, 3 minutes on the clock, plenty of time to get this flirt done. And maybe, if you want to do statues, because that's a very, very common, bug statues you're going to finish like that. If you want to do statues, normally I would say do them now. The weird thing is, though, against Catnip specifically, I think that letting her try to shoot you for flirt is a bad idea. Because
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that, especially on high rise, where you can really track those flirts a little bit better, it's sometimes better to get them out of the way before you have a lot of heat.
we've missed this pad, but it doesn't look like it, so Wobble's just going to stand here and act as if we've made it successfully. Joining back in with conversation here might actually pick up some suspicion for that quick talk and conversation positioning, but it would take a little bit more than that for Catnip to shoot, I think.
Yeah, so far this set, Wobble has not been subtle about entering and talking or entering and banana breading. And Catnip is definitely the sniper to catch on to that very quickly.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Wobble still, I think, in the driver's seat of this game. Catnip would have to pull something out fairly impressive. I mean, shooting for the center statues, if you have some kind of bug suspicion from the early game, it doesn't seem like we do, but there's always that chance, right? We saw it earlier. I think we're going to Tavern Flirt this out, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a statue finish.
Yeah, I think so too. We do get the timer flirt. He doesn't leave on us. So all we need is that one last mission. We can finish it with the Softail, or we can try for something a little bit cheekier. I do think that finishing with statues is pretty smart, but that center statue is being picked up right now. Oh, no, it's not. She's got the side statue.
Yeah, we don't go for this Purloin, which was, kind of the other main option. It might actually be a swap if we're going to these side statues. I mean, of course, there's a minute left on the clock here, but so we can go statue to statue.
Going for the inspect, which
Yeah.
that the
Catnip.
sniper comes over, is a good decision.
We do go for the swap, though. We do. It's a
my.
green test, and it's actually after Catnip rotated all the way over, then rotated back after seeing that the statue had not swapped. So I think that's a really, really good timing from Wobble. That said, it's not a white test, so it doesn't actually
And
matter.
a highlight that already has one statue visit is going to.
But Catnip zoomed in on these conversations over here. Now Twin gets it. Now we see the rotation. It's the shot onto Twin, not onto us. And Wobble finds the spy win. Catnip never saw the fade because I think we were too zoomed in and didn't have the rotation in time to see it, so had to make that judgment call, and this time it's not correct.
Yeah, Twin is finished with inspects at that point, and we are not. So Catnip thinks, okay, this Twin's finishing. The person that could have swapped it, green swap, was not finishing, so it's a reasonable shot.
Yeah, absolutely. In that case. And now we are on to Pub as our next venue, Pub 3 of 5. With fingerprint and swap off, which I feel like is the kind of common one. This is the this is the common one to turn off.
I think that I see usually fingerprint on and either purloin or bug off more often. But I think you can go a lot of different ways between those three missions on 3 of 5 Pub.
Yeah, I usually see bug on these days. Against certain snipers, it might be better. The thing is about a bug is it just takes so much attention to watch, so it's just, even if you're not planning on doing it,
there's times on Pub where it takes no attention at all.
Only if the ambassador's completely safe, which, sometimes does happen, but...
it's like the only venue where that can happen, where the ambassador just stays... Where they just kind of stay safe the whole game.
The whole game? Maybe. But there are a lot of times where the ambassador is quite safe. We'll see if Catnip can make use of the bug attention, though, or get a bug herself in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, I personally like to have bug off.
That wasn't great, but maybe... Oh, sneaky highlight from Wobble.
That's one of the most brutal highlights. Yeah, the highlight for... I'm pretty sure they just bugged at the start of this game is one of the most deadly highlights in all of SpyParty.
Yeah, that one where I'm 99% sure this happened, but I'm just going to play this game out just in case. The spy is never going to be able to finish missions, especially if they don't know. If they know that they're going to be a big suspect for that bug, which Catnip might have some idea of despite the sneaky highlight.
I'll tell you what, Wobble just highlight somebody who bugged multiple times on that path. Wheels had very good bug opportunities, and Wheels does not usually have very good bug opportunities.
Wheels also went to bar, which is the other thing we're seeing highlights from Wobble here. We'll see if the Wheels gets brought back down or not. Here comes a fake contact, though. It's really interesting because it's very easy for this to actually be a real. You're basically betting on the SDA being out of conversation. So, yeah, we do see Wheels get brought back down, and we are sticking with this highlight, though.
Yeah, the Wheels getting brought back down well before a Purloin timer could have expired. So that tells me they think for sure that the bug couldn't have happened, but it looks like we might be direct purloining here.
For four wheels perhaps, yeah.
Yep, definitely for wheels. It's
Highlight
yeah,
comes off
it's
onto
really
wheels
tough.
again.
The thing is, if you think either of these two characters bugged, you almost have to shoot.
Yeah, there's no contact for either of them, but they wouldn't need it. Here comes the talk, here comes the shot.
Yep.
And yeah, that is exactly when you need to be shooting. If you're not going to shoot immediately, you need to shoot then on the next possible time they could be flirting. I think that might have been what did it, actually. If Catnip maybe waits to see and wait for wheels to get
To touch a statue, maybe?
to touch a statue or to go anywhere and get a potential flirt, that kind of thing. Maybe wheels get shot instead, but it's very, very understandable that you're not going to have that kind of patience, that you're going to go for the more direct route to victory, and Wobble does manage to take the sniper win out of there.
It is another 2 flirt from Catnip, though.
Yeah, I'm actually quite impressed. There's a lot of green tests from Catnip this set. So maybe a little bit more alert on top of her game than usual. We'll see if Wobble can finally break this serve, because we still been splits every time.
Oh, did Wobble not take both games on high rise?
No. Catnip got Catnip misshot, Wobble misshot onto Twin after briefcase.
Oh, they both shot twin. Okay, yeah.
they both shot Twin.
All right, well, let's see if we can both shoot Seek. I don't think so, because he's not on the map.
Oh, tragic. Wobble playing as general in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Taking control right away, hoping, I'm assuming, to land wherever Alice lands, but instead we're going to go to the empty conversation and just see what they do first.
Alice does indeed land at bar. Not going to take this bug. It would never land anyways, even though we are general. Pick up a highlight, which is same for everyone at bar.
I don't usually see bar highlights on 3 of 5 with inspects on.
Yeah, that is a little bit unusual, I think.
Because you have to bring those highlights back down, and the inspect highlights can just stay on the entire game.
Yeah, that is something to keep in mind. We do see both twins going into statues.
They're dead.
It's over. Catnip's gonna shoot a twin.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen again.
They're avoiding the highlights, but I'm certain that they have more heat than any of these bar highlights.
See, that's the question when you're playing as someone who like only highlights one twin at a time. This is actually the big this is why Catnip's highlighting for bar, because she knew that both twins would go statue, and you can't have them both highlight. That would be a travesty, right? Like you can't do that.
Yeah, just that Nostradamus knew it was going to happen, so just goes ahead and does a different highlighting strategy.
Exactly.
As we're going to leave some pretty full conversations in order to get stuck on the doorway.
By the way, we haven't gotten anything. Yeah, you're I was struggling to find a word, but anything is exactly the word. What's interesting here is that bar highlights are not expiring. I mean, Alice and we went back to bar. Alice went back to bar, so we kind of deserve to keep our highlights. But Smallman, Teal, these other characters are not having these bar highlights expire. So
I think that entering into this conversation, I think the BB is the right play. It does knock out 2 of your 3 now of your statue visitors.
We just red tested RST. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or not.
I do like the red test though, because I don't think you're going to get flirts this game. When you enter that conversation far away with a minute 28, flirts just are not happening this game.
Who did we
send?
We send the double agent. That's a little bit of a tricky play, because if the sniper's not completely on top of where the DAs are, you can act as if you had a fake rather than a real. And by the way, this purloin comes off, and we got brought back down. Yeah, Alice gets shot here, not us. I think a little bit of a premature neutral light for the bar here. Alice didn't get that. We did. and Alice ends up being the shot here because of it after the Perlin is seen.
Yeah, and remember, we made Alice split on that delegate also. I think that
Oh,
red test was
that's
definitely
why.
intentional.
That's why. Yeah,
And also, Alice is flirting. We were not flirting.
that's true. That's true.
So
There's
I
a
can
lot
respect that.
to. It was a very impressive frame. We delegate this. We red test our ST out of the conversation, and then we go for an innocent briefcase. Very nicely played by Wobble here, convincingly creating this shot onto Alice, and now
There's a real
Wobble
lead.
has finally broken serve. It is now 6-4 on match point. Catnip needs both of these next two ball. We already seen ballroom once this set, but here is the next ballroom. Catnip needs both of these to go into overtime.
Yep, and we saw 2 spy losses,
Oh
and both
no!
of them were kind of
Oh
unexpected.
no!
And yeah, it's Twin. Twin is
Oh
just dead.
no! No!
No
No!
chance.
No! Catnip! No! I don't want to watch 3, 2, 1 playing it.
You know, it's the Twin meta sometimes. Sometimes you just there's a character that's been picked in a lot of games or been shot in a lot of games, and you just kind of roll with it.
Oh no. I'm so concerned because this is just like doom foretold right here for Catnip. We're gonna start off pretty slow here. RST is
Whoa.
doing things, so what?
Wobble just lowlights 2 people at Green Bookcase at the start of this game.
Fascinating.
It's
That's really
awesome. I don't know if he watched the first Ballroom game.
Swap. Is this a swap? I think this might be some sort of action priorities. We do pick up the highlight. No shot coming off, but I don't know how on top of this Wobble is, because you're gonna see those kind of statue highlights regardless of if the swap happened or not. Well, safety off though. I think Wobble is definitely on to this swap, and Catnip looks to be a dead spy walking.
So I know for certain that swapping that back middle statue, a white swap early in the game against Wobble on Ballroom works.
Do you now?
But it has to be right after Smallman was at center statues.
Of course. That makes
Otherwise,
sense.
I don't think it's going to work because you're the only statue visitor.
It's got to be Smallman specifically too, right? Like that's very important.
Yes, it also
But
has to
Smallman's
be
a low
Manatters
light.
as the spy.
Oh, right. God damn it, Manatters.
Did we request a drink? No, we did not.
I'm a little bit concerned. I want to try. We are trying a fake, which is known fake for everyone.
And it's an excellent fake if an SDA is in a conversation.
If is in the other conversation in particular.
Sure.
It's not a great fake if it's in our conversation.
But man, that's just a brutal fake with no SDAs in. All it does is knock out, well, I guess just one person, but...
Well, Double Agent joined us. We're going to go for another contact here, which is actually pretty... Oh, God, look at those splits, too. That's not... Yeah, we're getting shot. Oh, Catnip.
Yep. We were dead pretty
Twin.
early on in that game.
Not the twin. Oh, no.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not sure if it was an action priority thing or not.
yeah, it would make sense if it was an action priority thing, because usually you don't really swap first thing. That was before any of the inspects, so I would not be surprised to see that this is like an action priority mistake, and it's just an unfortunate ending. Doom foretold for picking twin. Oh, man. Poor Catnip, but congratulations to Wobble, who takes the set and takes the win over Catnip.
Yeah, moving on into the round of 16 for Wobble. Second place in the groups. They're now 3-1 overall in the tournament.
Yeah, very, very impressive so far.